The Middle Class Trap. Escape the Life of Paycheck to Paycheck. Published by Timeless Audiobook. Introduction. The middle class was once a symbol of stability, comfort, and safety. Today, it has become a trap disguised as a lifestyle. A person can earn a solid income, drive a decent car, live in a respectable neighborhood, and still feel constant financial pressure. Bills arrive faster than savings grow. Raises disappear into higher rent, bigger payments, and new obligations. And slowly, without realizing it, life becomes a cycle of working, spending, and worrying. This is the middle class trap. It is not about being poor, it is about being dependent. Dependent on a paycheck. Dependent on overtime, dependent on credit cards, dependent on keeping up appearances, even when the numbers behind the scenes are falling apart. Many hard-working people did everything they were told to do. They studied, they got the job, they stayed responsible, yet they still feel stuck. Not because they lack effort, but because they were never taught the real rules of wealth. They were taught how to earn, but not how to keep, how to spend, but not how to build, how to survive, but not how to become free. In this audiobook, we will expose the hidden habits and invisible beliefs that keep middle-class earners trapped in paycheck-to-paycheck living. We will break down why income does not equal wealth. We will rebuild your mindset around freedom, not status, and we will create a clear system that helps you eliminate debt, build security, grow investments, and design a future where money no longer controls your decisions. This will not be about unrealistic shortcuts. It will be about timeless principles, practical actions, and consistent progress. If you are willing to think differently, live differently, and act with discipline, you can escape this trap. You are not here to simply learn, you are here to transform. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop buying your own prison. A middle-class trap is not built in one day. It is built slowly, purchase by purchase, payment by payment, decision by decision. And the most dangerous part is this. You often feel proud while you are building it. You think you are improving your life. You think you are upgrading. You think you are moving forward. But what you are really doing is adding more chains to your own ankles and calling it success. The modern prison does not have iron bars. It has monthly bills. It has car payments, credit card balances, subscriptions, and loans. It has rent that keeps rising and lifestyles that keep expanding. And every time you take on a new payment, you trade a piece of your future freedom for a temporary feeling of comfort today. Here is the hard truth. Many people do not live paycheck to paycheck because they earn too little. They live paycheck to paycheck because they spend too much. Not on survival, but on upgrades, and those upgrades become obligations. At first it feels harmless. A better phone, a nicer apartment, a newer car, a few more things that make life easier. But then the easy life becomes expensive, and soon you wake up and realize your salary is not yours. It belongs to everyone you owe. A man can earn $100,000 a year and still feel broke. That sounds impossible until you see the math. Let's say he brings home $6,500 a month after taxes. His rent is $2,200. His car payment is $650. Insurance is $200. Student loans are $400. Credit card minimums are $300. Food and groceries are $800. Subscriptions are $120. Gas is $250. Utilities are $300. Now add entertainment, clothing, and unexpected expenses. Suddenly, the paycheck is gone before the month even begins. And what is worse, he thinks this is normal. He thinks this is adulthood. He thinks this is what responsible people do. But this is not normal. This is not responsible. This is financial captivity. It is a life where you are one emergency away from panic, one layoff away from disaster, and one bad month away from debt that grows like a wildfire. This is the middle-class prison. It is a prison built with reasonable decisions. And that is why it traps so many people. Nobody wakes up and says, "Today I will ruin my financial future." They simply say, "I deserve this," or "It's only $200 a month," or "Everyone has payments." But those payments are not small, they are powerful. They follow you into every future decision. They limit where you can work because you need the paycheck. They limit where you can live because you cannot risk change. They limit how you feel because you carry financial pressure everywhere you go. Lifestyle inflation is the silent thief of the middle class. When you earn more, you should gain more freedom. But instead, most people gain more expenses. A raise comes, and within months, their spending rises to match it. They upgrade their car, they move into a better place, they eat out more, they travel more, they buy more. And the sad part is, they still feel the same stress. They still feel trapped. Because their lifestyle grew, but their wealth did not. A paycheck is supposed to be a tool, but for many people, it becomes a leash. It becomes the thing that keeps them running. They work harder, not to build a future, but to maintain the image of success. And the image becomes expensive. This is where most people lose their power. They start living for appearances. They want to look like they are winning. They want to show progress. They want to feel respected. But the truth is, looking rich often keeps you poor. It forces you to spend money you should have saved. It forces you to impress people who are not paying your bills. And it forces you to carry financial stress behind a confident smile. Real wealth does not shout. Real wealth whispers. Real wealth is the ability to walk away. It is the ability to take a break. It is the ability to handle an emergency without fear. It is the ability to say no. The wealthy do not buy bigger chains. They buy bigger options. Your problem is not your income. Your problem is the habits attached to your income. If your lifestyle is built on payments, then your life is built on pressure. And pressure eventually breaks people. It breaks marriages. It breaks health. It breaks peace of mind. And it breaks the future. The first step to escaping the middle-class trap is simple, but it is not easy. You must stop buying your own prison. You must stop turning every raise into a new payment. You must stop believing that comfort is the same thing as freedom. Comfort is temporary. Freedom is permanent. And the moment you stop upgrading your lifestyle, you begin upgrading your future. Your action step. Write down every monthly payment you currently have, every subscription, every loan, every financing plan, every recurring bill that exists because of lifestyle choices. Then ask yourself one question. If I removed this payment, would my life become worse, or would my future become better? Be honest. That list is the blueprint of your prison. Chapter 2. The Paycheck Illusion That Keeps You Calm. A paycheck can feel like safety. It arrives every month like clockwork. It pays the rent, covers the bills, fills the fridge, and keeps life moving forward. And because it keeps showing up, you begin to believe it will always show up. That belief is what keeps millions of people calm while they are standing on the edge of a financial cliff. The paycheck illusion is simple. As long as money is coming in, you assume you are fine. You may not have savings, you may have debt, you may have no investments, But you tell yourself, "I'm okay, I have a job." And that thought becomes your emotional blanket. It helps you sleep at night. It helps you ignore the truth. It keeps you from taking action. But here is what most people never stop to consider. A paycheck is not wealth. It is permission to survive for another month. It is not freedom. It is dependency. And dependency is the most fragile form of security in the world. If your entire lifestyle collapses the moment the paycheck stops, then you are not financially stable. You are financially exposed. You are not standing on solid ground. You are standing on a moving treadmill. And as long as you keep running, you stay alive. But the moment you slow down, you fall. Think about how quickly life can change. A company restructures. A department gets cut. A manager decides you are replaceable. A recession hits. An injury happens. A health problem appears. A family emergency forces you to stop working. None of these things are rare. They happen every day. Yet most people live as if they are immune. They live as if tomorrow is guaranteed. And that is the most dangerous way to live. You do not need a disaster to become financially stressed. Sometimes all it takes is one unexpected expense. A car repair, a medical bill, a broken appliance, a sudden travel emergency. And because most middle-class people have no real savings, the only solution becomes debt. They swipe the credit card, tell themselves it's temporary, and promise they will pay it off later. Later rarely comes. Instead, the debt grows. The minimum payments rise. The stress increases. And the paycheck that once felt like safety now feels like a trap. Because every month, before you even touch your money, a portion of it is already promised to someone else. This is why so many people earn decent incomes and still feel like they cannot breathe. They are not living, they are maintaining. There is a painful truth that many people avoid. The paycheck does not belong to you, not fully. A large part of it belongs to the landlord, the bank, the credit card company, the car dealership, the student loan provider, and the endless list of payments that consume your life. You are not earning money to build wealth. You are earning money to feed obligations. And the more obligations you have, the more powerless you become. That is why high-income earners often feel just as stressed as low-income earners, sometimes even more. Because the higher the income, the higher the lifestyle, and the higher the lifestyle, the more expensive the collapse would be. A person earning $60,000 might live modestly, with fewer payments. But a person earning $140,000 may have a luxury apartment, a financed SUV, expensive insurance, private school tuition, and a lifestyle that demands constant income. On the surface, the second person looks successful, but behind the scenes, they are walking a tighter rope. The tragedy is that society praises the appearance. Society claps for the big house. Society admires the shiny car. Society assumes the person must be doing well. But nobody sees the stress at night. Nobody sees the arguments about money. Nobody sees the fear of losing the job. Nobody sees the quiet panic that comes with every unexpected expense. That is the paycheck illusion. It hides fragility behind a steady income. Real security is not about how much you earn. Real security is about how long you can survive without earning. That is the difference between a worker and a wealthy person. The worker's life depends on the next paycheck. The wealthy person's life depends on the systems they built. This is where you must shift your thinking. You must stop asking, "How much do I make?" and start asking, "How much do I keep?" You must stop thinking of income as success and start thinking of independence as success. Because the true measure of wealth is not what you drive. It is not what you wear. It is not where you vacation. The true measure of wealth is how much time you have purchased for yourself. Savings is not just money. Savings is stored time. It is stored peace. It is stored choices. Every dollar you save is a future hour you do not have to sell to someone else. Every dollar you invest is a future day you can live on your own terms. When you begin to see money this way, everything changes. You stop wasting it on things that impress strangers. You stop spending to numb stress. You stop upgrading your lifestyle just to feel important. Because you realize you are not buying comfort, you are buying captivity. The middle-class trap thrives because people do not measure their financial safety. They do not calculate how exposed they are. They do not want to know the truth. They would rather stay distracted. They would rather believe everything is fine. But freedom begins with honesty. If you want to escape paycheck to paycheck living, you must face one question with absolute clarity. How many months could you survive if your income stopped today? Not how many months you hope, not how many months you assume, how many months in reality? For most people, the answer is shocking. Some can survive only 1 month. Some cannot survive even 2 weeks. And once you see that truth, you realize your paycheck is not security. It is a fragile bridge, and you have been walking across it without a safety net. Your action step. Calculate your survival number today. Add up your required monthly expenses, rent or mortgage, food, utilities, insurance, transportation, debt payments, and basic needs. Then look at how much money you have saved that is truly available. Divide your savings by your monthly expenses. That number is your current survival timeline. Do not judge yourself, just measure it, because what you measure, you can improve. If your survival number is 1 month, your first goal is to make it 2. If it is 2, your goal is to make it 4. Small progress builds real power. Chapter 3. The system was designed to keep you running. The middle class did not become trapped by accident. This trap was not created in 1 generation. It was built slowly, like a machine that rewards obedience, encourages consumption, and punishes those who fall behind. And once you understand how this machine works, you stop blaming yourself for everything, but you also stop excusing yourself, because awareness is power, and power demands responsibility. For decades, people believed the formula was simple: get an education, get a stable job, buy a home, work hard, retire peacefully. That promise was once closer to reality, but the world changed, the rules shifted, and millions of hard-working people are still playing by an old playbook in a new game. That is why so many middle-class earners feel confused. They are not lazy, they are not irresponsible, they are simply following a path that no longer guarantees safety. And the most dangerous part is this: society still sells that path as the right way. One reason the middle class feels squeezed is because the cost of living rose faster than income. Housing is a perfect example. In many cities, rent and home prices have climbed beyond what ordinary wages can comfortably support. Healthcare costs have increased, education costs have exploded, even basic necessities feel heavier than they used to. This creates a painful reality. A person can earn more money than their parents ever earned, yet still feel poorer. Not because they are imagining it, but because the economic pressure is real. The ground beneath them has shifted, and they are trying to stand firm on soil that keeps moving. When life becomes expensive, people adapt in the easiest way possible. They borrow, they finance, they stretch payments over years. They accept debt as normal. They tell themselves it is just how modern life works. But debt is not modern life. Debt is modern control. Because the moment you accept debt as normal, you accept dependence as normal. And once dependence becomes normal, freedom feels unrealistic. Another reason the trap exists is because the economy thrives on your spending. This world is not built to reward savers. It is built to reward consumers. The entire machine depends on you buying more than you need. That is why advertising is everywhere. That is why every app pushes you to upgrade. That is why companies spend billions studying your psychology. They do not just sell products, they sell identity, they sell belonging, they sell comfort, they sell status. And when you feel stressed, lonely, or uncertain, they offer you something shiny to make you feel better. That is not an accident. That is strategy. A consumer economy does not grow when people are content. It grows when people are hungry. Hungry for more, hungry for better, hungry for validation. And if you are not careful, you will spend your entire life trying to fill an emptiness that cannot be filled with purchases. This is why credit cards are so powerful. They allow you to buy the lifestyle today and worry about the cost tomorrow. They make you feel rich for a moment, while quietly making you poorer for years. Debt is not just money you owe. Debt is future effort already spent. It is tomorrow's energy stolen by yesterday's desires. The middle class is also trapped because the culture rewards appearances. Society praises people who look successful. The big home, the nice car, the expensive vacations, the fancy restaurant photos. And because humans are social creatures, most people cannot resist the pressure. They do not want to feel left behind. They do not want to look small. They do not want others to think they are struggling. So they spend to keep up. They finance what they cannot afford. They upgrade to match the crowd. But the crowd is often drowning too. This is the cruel part. The middle class is full of people pretending they are doing fine, while silently worrying about money every week. The neighbors admire each other's lifestyles, but nobody sees the debt behind the driveway. Nobody sees the stress behind the smile. Nobody sees the fear behind the shopping bags. And that is why this trap is so effective. It uses pride against you. It uses comparison against you. It uses your desire for respect as a weapon. Then there is the education system. Most schools teach you how to become a good employee. They teach you how to follow instructions, meet deadlines, and pass tests. They teach you how to earn a living, but they do not teach you how to build wealth. They do not teach you about investing. They do not teach you about compound growth. They do not teach you about assets and liabilities. They do not teach you how debt really works. They do not teach you how the wealthy think. And because of that, millions of people graduate into adulthood financially blind. They may be intelligent in their career, but financially untrained. They can earn money, but they cannot keep it. They can work hard, but they cannot grow wealth. And so they stay trapped in a loop. Work harder, earn more, spend more, stress more. This is not stupidity, it is conditioning. A person cannot play a game they were never taught, and most middle-class people were never taught the wealth game. But here is where your power returns. You cannot control the system. You cannot control inflation. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control what schools failed to teach you. But you can control your choices. You can control your habits. You can control your mindset. And once you do, the system loses its grip. Because the system needs you asleep. It needs you distracted. It needs you chasing the next purchase. It needs you believing debt is normal. It needs you believing you are powerless. The moment you wake up, the trap weakens. Your action step. Write down 3 ways the system profits from your financial struggle. Maybe it is interest payments. Maybe it is subscription fees. Maybe it is lifestyle pressure. Then write down one way you will break that cycle this month. One small decision, one act of resistance, one act of control.
Chapter 4. Your net worth is the only score that matters. A paycheck can make you feel successful. A promotion can make you feel powerful. A bigger home can make you feel like you have arrived. But none of those things answer the one question that truly decides your future. Are you actually getting richer? Or are you just getting busier? This is where most middle-class people get fooled. They measure success by income. They measure progress by salary. They measure achievement by lifestyle. But income is not wealth. Income is simply what passes through your hands. And if it passes through your hands too quickly, it does not matter how much comes in. You will still be trapped. The only score that matters is net worth. It is the simplest financial truth you can learn. And it is the one truth most people avoid. Net worth is what you own minus what you owe. That is it. No complicated formulas, no fancy language, just reality. If you own $50,000 in savings and investments, but you owe $70,000 in debt, your net worth is negative $20,000. That means you are not building wealth. You are building obligations. You are not moving forward. You are digging deeper. And once you understand net worth, you start seeing your life differently. You stop asking, how much do I make? And you start asking, how much am I keeping? Imagine two people earning the same salary, $90,000 a year. On the outside, their lives look similar, but one of them has a net worth of $250,000. The other has a net worth of minus $40,000. Same income, same age, same opportunities, completely different futures. How does this happen? It happens because one person understands the wealth game, and the other person is still trapped in the income game. The income game is about looking good today. It is about spending your money to create comfort and status. It is about rewarding yourself because you work hard. It is about believing that a higher paycheck automatically means you are winning. The wealth game is about building power quietly. It is about delaying gratification. It is about investing. It is about keeping your expenses under control, even when your income grows. It is about thinking long-term while everyone else is thinking short-term. The wealth game is not glamorous. In fact, it often looks boring, but boring is what builds freedom. Here is the mistake that keeps the middle class trapped. When people earn more money, they immediately upgrade their lifestyle. They buy a nicer car. They move into a bigger home. They take on more payments. They increase their spending because they believe they have earned the right to live better. But the problem is not living better. The problem is living bigger without becoming richer. A higher income should create a larger gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where wealth is born. That gap is where freedom grows. But most people close the gap as fast as they can. They spend the raise. They spend the bonus. They spend the extra money. And they stay stuck. That is why you see people earning six figures who still panic when the rent is due. That is why you see families with good jobs who still cannot handle a $1,000 emergency. Their income looks impressive, but their net worth is weak. Net worth is the truth that income cannot hide. A wealthy life is not built by dramatic moves. It is built by small, consistent decisions. The rich do not become rich because they find one lucky opportunity. Most of them become rich because they repeat one simple habit. They consistently turn income into assets. An asset is something that grows in value or produces income. Savings, investments, businesses, rental property, retirement accounts. These are assets. They do not just sit there. They work, they grow, they multiply. Liabilities are the opposite. They drain money from you: credit card debt, personal loans, car payments, lifestyle debt. Anything that takes money out of your pocket every month without building your future. Most middle-class people are trained to collect liabilities. They buy things that look like success, but cost them freedom, and they call it progress. But the wealth builder does the opposite. They use their income to buy assets first. Then, after the assets grow, they use the profit to buy comfort. That is the difference between a person who stays trapped and a person who escapes. The most powerful part of net worth thinking is that it gives you clarity. It forces you to stop lying to yourself. It forces you to stop pretending that a nice lifestyle equals financial security. It forces you to face the numbers. And yes, the numbers might hurt at first. You might discover you are not as stable as you thought. You might discover you are behind. You might discover that you have been working hard, but building nothing. But that pain is not punishment. That pain is awakening. Because once you know the truth, you can change the truth. Net worth can rise fast when your habits change. A person with negative net worth can become positive within a few years. A person with no investments can build a strong portfolio within a decade. A person who feels trapped today can create freedom tomorrow, not by magic, but by consistency. The secret is not more income. The secret is a new way of thinking. Your action step: calculate your net worth today. Write down everything you own that has value: your savings, your retirement account, your investments, your car value, anything real. Then write down everything you owe: credit cards, loans, student debt, car financing. Subtract what you owe from what you own. Do not guess. Do not round it in your favor. Be honest. Then write this sentence under the number: this is my starting point, not my destiny. Because that is the truth. Your net worth is not your identity. It is your current score, and scores can change. Chapter 5. Stop paying for approval. The middle class does not lose money only through bills and debt. It loses money through something far more invisible: the desire to be admired. This desire is so common that people rarely question it. They call it having standards. They call it living well. They call it rewarding themselves. But in many cases, it is something else. It is approval seeking dressed up as lifestyle. And approval is expensive. You can earn a strong income and still remain trapped if your spending is guided by other people's opinions. Because when you live to impress, you will always buy more than you need. You will always upgrade too early. You will always feel pressure to prove that you are doing well. And the moment your life becomes a performance, your finances become a burden. Here is the painful truth. Many people are not buying products. They are buying validation. They are buying a feeling. They are buying a temporary boost of confidence. They are buying the right to feel equal in a world where comparison never stops. But that confidence does not last. It fades quickly. And when it fades, you buy again. Think about how status spending really works. You buy a new phone, and it feels exciting for a week. You buy new clothes, and it feels good for a moment. You upgrade your car, and for a while, you enjoy the attention. People compliment you. They notice you. You feel like you are winning. Then something happens. Someone else buys something better. A newer model comes out. A friend gets a bigger house. A coworker upgrades their lifestyle. Suddenly, your purchase no longer feels special. Now it feels normal. And now you want another upgrade. This is how the trap tightens. Status spending is not about comfort. It is about identity. It is about proving to the world that you are successful. It is about avoiding the fear of looking behind. It is about escaping the shame of feeling average. And because society rewards appearances, this addiction spreads like fire. People compare themselves constantly, not with billionaires but with neighbors, co-workers, friends, social media influencers, people who might be drowning in debt themselves. The middle class is full of people competing in a race that has no finish line. Social media made this worse. In the past, you compared yourself to a small circle. Today, you compare yourself to thousands of people every day. You see vacations, restaurants, luxury cars, designer clothing, perfect homes, perfect bodies, perfect lives. You rarely see the debt. You rarely see the arguments. You rarely see the stress behind the scenes. You only see the highlight reel. And when you see highlights all day, your own life starts to feel incomplete. Your own home feels smaller. Your own car feels older. Your own wardrobe feels outdated. Even if you were content yesterday, comparison can steal your peace today. That is why people spend money they do not have. They are not buying an object. They are buying relief from insecurity. But the relief is temporary, and the cost is permanent. A $700 monthly car payment might look impressive in the driveway, but it steals your future quietly. It steals your ability to save. It steals your ability to invest. It steals your ability to handle emergencies. And worst of all, it steals your freedom. Because when you spend money to impress others, you are not just losing dollars, you are losing choices. There is a strange irony in life. The people who truly have wealth often do not look wealthy. They do not need to prove anything. They do not need to display success. They are too busy building it. Their confidence comes from security, not from attention. They drive reliable cars, not because they cannot afford luxury, but because they understand priorities. They know that money spent on image is money stolen from investment. They know that a flashy lifestyle can attract admiration, but it can also attract financial stress. The wealthy understand a truth that the middle class forgets. Looking rich is not the same as being rich. Looking rich means spending. Being rich means owning. The middle class often chooses looking rich because it feels good today. The wealthy choose being rich because it protects them tomorrow. And tomorrow is where the real game is played. Approval seeking keeps you trapped because it controls your decisions. You buy what you do not need because you fear judgment. You upgrade too early because you fear being left behind. You spend too much because you want to feel important. And as long as that fear drives you, you will never feel financially safe. You can earn more and still feel insecure. You can buy more and still feel empty. Because the problem was never the lack of possessions. The problem was the lack of inner stability. Freedom begins when you stop needing applause. Freedom begins when you stop caring about the opinions of people who are not paying your bills. Freedom begins when you realize that the only person you must impress is the future version of yourself. That future version is watching every decision you make, every impulse purchase, every unnecessary upgrade, every lifestyle expense. That future version is either being built or being destroyed by what you do today. Your action step: identify one area of your spending that is driven by image. It might be your car, your clothing, your dining habits, your gadgets, your vacations. Then commit to a 30-day approval detox. For 30 days, do not spend money to impress anyone. Redirect that money into savings or investments. Even if it is small, you are training your mind to choose freedom over validation. Because once you break the approval addiction, something powerful happens. You stop living for other people's eyes. You start living for your own future. Chapter 6. The money stories you inherited are running your life. Your financial life did not begin when you got your first job. It began long before that. It began when you were a child watching how adults talked about money. It began when you saw stress on your parents' faces. It began when you heard arguments about bills. It began when you noticed what people admired and what people feared. Long before you understood numbers, you absorbed beliefs. And those beliefs became your money story. A money story is the set of unconscious rules you live by. It is what you believe money means. It is what you believe you deserve. It is what you believe rich people are like. It is what you believe will happen if you run out of money. And most people never question these beliefs. They simply live them, like invisible instructions running in the background. That is why two people can earn the same income and still have completely different financial lives. Their problem is not math. Their problem is identity. They do not spend based on logic. They spend based on emotional programming. And until you rewrite your money story, you will keep repeating the same financial patterns, even if you earn more. Some people grow up hearing, "Money doesn't grow on trees." That sentence may sound harmless, but it carries a hidden message. It teaches fear. It teaches scarcity. It teaches that money is hard to get and easy to lose. A person who grows up with that belief often becomes anxious about spending, but also anxious about saving. They may hoard money, yet still feel unsafe. Or they may spend quickly because deep down they believe money will disappear anyway. Other people grow up hearing, "Rich people are greedy." That belief is even more dangerous. Because if you believe wealth is tied to selfishness, you will subconsciously avoid becoming wealthy. You may earn good money, but you will sabotage yourself before you build true freedom. You will spend too much. You will avoid investing. You will feel guilty about saving. And you will call it morality, when in reality it is fear disguised as virtue. Some people grow up hearing, "We are not the type of people who have money." That belief becomes a cage. It becomes a family identity. And even if that person becomes successful, part of them still feels like an outsider in the world of wealth. They feel uncomfortable saving large amounts. They feel uncomfortable thinking big. They feel like they do not belong. So they spend their money quickly to return to what feels familiar. Because for the human mind, familiar feels safe, even if familiar is painful. Many middle-class people carry another hidden script. It is the script of proving themselves. They grew up watching their parents struggle. They grew up feeling embarrassed about what they did not have. They grew up feeling less than others. And when they finally start earning decent money, they make a vow inside their heart. "I will never feel that again." So they buy, they upgrade, they spend. Not because they are foolish, but because they are trying to heal an old wound. They are trying to prove they made it. They are trying to erase the past. They are trying to silence the voice of insecurity. But money cannot heal emotional pain. It can only distract it. A person who spends to prove their worth will never feel satisfied, because their worth was never meant to be purchased. And no matter how much they buy, the old fear will still whisper, "It's not enough." This is why some people earn more and still feel empty. Their income rises, but their insecurity rises with it. They buy bigger things, but the hunger remains. And soon their lifestyle becomes a prison built from their own emotional needs. There is another money story that destroys the middle class. The story that says, if I work hard, everything will be fine. Hard work is honorable, but hard work alone does not create wealth. Hard work creates income. Wealth requires systems. Wealth requires strategy. Wealth requires discipline. Wealth requires long-term thinking. Many people were taught that working hard is the answer to everything. So they work harder when they feel stressed. They chase promotions. They take overtime. They push themselves to exhaustion. But the truth is, if you do not control your spending, your investing, and your habits, you can work yourself into a higher salary and still remain broke. Hard work without wisdom is just a faster treadmill, and the middle class is full of hard-working people running fast, yet going nowhere. To escape the middle class trap, you must stop treating money as an emotional tool. You must stop using it to impress people. You must stop using it to cope with stress. You must stop using it to prove your worth. Money is not meant to carry your identity. Money is meant to serve your future. The moment you see money as a servant instead of a symbol, you begin to gain control. You begin to understand that wealth is not about luck. It is not about background. It is not about talent. It is about patterns. And patterns can be changed. The most powerful part of rewriting your money story is that it gives you freedom from your past. It breaks generational cycles. It ends family patterns of struggle. It turns you into the person who changes the direction of your bloodline. That is not just financial growth. That is personal transformation. Your action step. Write down 3 money beliefs you grew up hearing. They might come from your parents, your culture, or your environment. Then ask yourself one question for each belief. Is this belief helping me build freedom, or is it keeping me trapped? Be honest. If a belief is holding you back, rewrite it into a new rule. Replace fear with power. Replace scarcity with strategy. Replace shame with discipline. Because once you change the story you live by, you begin to change the life you create. Chapter 7. Stop chasing more money and start chasing more time. Money is important, but it is not the highest form of wealth. Time is. Time is the one resource you can never replace. You can lose money and earn it again. You can lose a job and find another. But when time is gone, it is gone forever. And yet most middle-class people spend their lives chasing money as if money is the final prize. They work harder. They chase promotions. They take overtime. They sacrifice weekends. They delay vacations. They postpone rest. They push through exhaustion. And they tell themselves, one day, I will finally enjoy life. But one day is not guaranteed. This is the tragedy of the middle-class trap. It convinces people to trade their best years for comfort, and then it demands more payments to maintain that comfort. So they keep working. And the more they work, the less time they have. And the less time they have, the more stressed they become. Then they spend money to feel better, which creates more bills, which forces them to work even more. That is not success. That is a cycle. There are people earning $200,000 a year who are poor in time. Their schedule is owned by meetings. Their mind is owned by deadlines. Their energy is drained by constant pressure. They may have a beautiful home, but they barely live in it. They may have a nice car, but they only drive it to work. They may have money in the bank, but they have no peace. And then there are people earning less who feel richer because they have control. They have margin. They have breathing room. They have evenings without stress. They have mornings without panic. They have time to think, time to rest, and time to live. That is the difference between income and wealth. Wealth is not how much you earn. Wealth is how much of your life belongs to you. If you cannot take a week off without fear, you are not free. If you cannot say no to your boss without panic, you are not free. If your life collapses without overtime, you are not free. And if you are not free, then money has failed its purpose. Because money was never meant to enslave you. Money was meant to serve you. The reason time is so valuable is because time is the foundation of everything. Your health depends on time. Your relationships depend on time. Your growth depends on time. Your peace depends on time. And even your ability to build wealth depends on time. When you are constantly busy, you make poor decisions. You spend impulsively. You avoid planning. You ignore your finances. You eat unhealthy. You skip exercise. You become reactive instead of intentional. And that is how the trap deepens. A busy person becomes a distracted person. A distracted person becomes a consumer, and a consumer becomes dependent. This is why chasing more money without chasing more time is a dangerous game. You might become richer in income, but poorer in life. One of the most powerful exercises you can do is to measure purchases in hours instead of dollars. Most people look at a price tag and think, "Can I afford this?" That is the wrong question. The right question is, how many hours of my life does this cost? A $1,000 phone may not sound like much to a middle-class earner, but after taxes, it might represent 20 or 30 hours of work. That means you are not buying a phone. You are trading an entire week of your life for a device you will replace in 2 years. A $600 monthly car payment might represent 15 hours of work every month. That is nearly 2 full work days. Every month, just to maintain an image. And when you add insurance, fuel, and maintenance, you might be working an entire week each month just to keep that car. Once you see purchases this way, your mind begins to wake up. You stop seeing money as paper. You start seeing money as life energy. You start seeing money as time. And when money becomes time, you become more careful with how you spend it. The middle class is often trapped because their lifestyle is too heavy. Their fixed expenses are too high. They cannot breathe because every month they must carry a mountain. And the mountain is built from normal choices. A big house, 2 car payments, multiple subscriptions, expensive habits, high insurance, lifestyle upgrades. The danger is not spending once. The danger is spending in a way that creates permanent obligations. Freedom is not built by earning more. Freedom is built by lowering the amount you need to survive. When your monthly expenses are low, your options increase. That you measure as monthly expenses are high, your options disappear. That is why the wealthy are obsessed with leverage. They want their money to work so they do not have to. They want investments. They want businesses. They want assets that create income without constant effort. They do not just want more money. They want more life. The goal of escaping the middle-class trap is not to become rich in a flashy way. The goal is to become rich in choices, to wake up without fear, to live without financial pressure, to work because you want to, not because you must. When you begin chasing time, your priorities change. You start building savings because savings buys time. You start investing because investing buys future time.
Please, fast forward 1 minute. We have a technical glitch. Please, fast forward 1 minute. We have a technical glitch.
Your action step. Choose one recurring monthly expense and translate it into hours. Take the cost and divide it by your hourly pay after taxes. Then ask yourself, is this worth that many hours of my life? If it is not, make a change this month. Cancel it, downgrade it, or replace it with something cheaper. Do not wait for a perfect moment. Start reclaiming your time now. Because once you understand that time is the true wealth, you stop living like a consumer and you start living like an owner.
Chapter 8. Build a safety net. Before you build a dream. Most people want wealth, but what they truly need first is stability. They want to invest. They want to build passive income. They want to escape their job. They want to grow money fast, but they skip the most important step, the step that separates serious wealth builders from desperate dreamers. That step is the safety net. A safety net is not exciting. It does not make you feel rich. It does not give you a status symbol. Nobody will applaud you for it. But it gives you something far more valuable than applause: peace. And peace is the foundation of every successful financial journey. Without a safety net, you are not building wealth. You are gambling with your future, because life is not predictable. Emergencies are not rare events. They are guaranteed events. Cars break down, health problems happen, jobs disappear, families face crises, homes need repairs. Children need unexpected support. These things are not if, they are when, and if you are not prepared, every emergency becomes a disaster. This is why so many middle-class people stay trapped. They try to move forward, but one unexpected expense pushes them backward. They start paying off debt, but then the car repair arrives. They start investing, but then a medical bill hits. They start building progress, but then life interrupts. So they do what most people do. They reach for the credit card. They borrow from their future to survive the present. And the trap deepens. The middle class is not just trapped by spending. It is trapped by fragility. When your finances are fragile, you cannot plan long term. You cannot take risks. You cannot invest confidently. You cannot breathe. Your mind becomes survival-focused. And survival thinking never creates wealth. Survival thinking creates panic, impulse, and short-term decisions. That is why the safety net is so powerful. It changes your mind. It changes your behavior. It changes your identity. When you have money set aside, you stop feeling hunted by life. You stop fearing every unexpected event. You stop reacting emotionally to problems. You begin to respond calmly, and calm decisions create strong futures. A true emergency fund is not a luxury. It is financial armor. It protects you from debt. It protects you from panic. It protects your progress. And most importantly, it protects your confidence. Because the truth is, many people do not fail financially because they are irresponsible. They fail because they are unprepared. They are building their life on thin ice. And when pressure comes, the ice cracks. The emergency fund thickens the ice. A good goal for most people is 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses, not luxury expenses, not entertainment spending. Just survival costs. Rent or mortgage, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, and essential bills. If your monthly survival expenses are $3,500,
then a 3-month safety net is $10,500. A 6-month safety net is $21,000. Now, that number might feel intimidating, but you must understand something. You do not build it overnight. You build it brick by brick. And the first brick is the most important. The first goal is not 6 months. The first goal is 1 month. Because 1 month of savings changes your life. It gives you breathing room. It gives you confidence. It gives you a sense of control. It is the beginning of freedom. Many people avoid saving because they believe they cannot. They look at their paycheck and think there is nothing left. But the truth is, saving is not about leftover money. Saving is about priorities. When you prioritize saving, you find the money. It might come from eating out less. It might come from canceling subscriptions. It might come from reducing shopping. It might come from cutting status spending. It might come from selling things you no longer use. The middle class often has money hiding in plain sight. It is leaking out through small habits, convenient spending, and lifestyle inflation. The safety net forces you to plug the leaks. And once the leaks are plugged, you begin to feel powerful. You begin to realize you were not trapped by income. You were trapped by unconscious choices. One of the most important rules of building a safety net is this: it must be separate. If your emergency fund sits in the same account as your daily spending, you will touch it. You will justify using it. You will treat it like extra money. But it is not extra money. It is protection money. Your emergency fund should be placed in a separate savings account, ideally one that is not connected to your everyday debit card. You want it accessible, but not too accessible. You want it close enough for emergencies, but far enough to prevent temptation. And you must define what counts as an emergency. A true emergency is something unexpected, necessary, and urgent. A broken car that prevents you from working. A medical bill. A home repair that cannot wait. It is not a sale at the mall. It is not a vacation. It is not a new gadget. If you treat every desire like an emergency, you will never build security. The safety net also changes the way you live emotionally. It reduces financial anxiety. It reduces stress in relationships. It reduces the feeling of being trapped. It gives you the ability to walk into the future with confidence instead of fear. And once you have stability, you can finally begin building wealth without being constantly interrupted. You can start paying down debt aggressively. You can invest consistently. You can build multiple income streams. You can make long-term moves. Because now, life's surprises will not destroy your progress. This is why wealthy people protect their foundation first. They do not chase high returns while living on the edge. They build stability, then they build growth. They understand something most people ignore. You cannot build a skyscraper on sand. Your action step: open a separate savings account this week and name it Emergency Fund or Freedom Fund. Then deposit your first amount immediately, even if it is only $50 or $100. The amount is not the point. The action is the point. Because the moment you start, you become a different person. You become someone who prepares instead of someone who reacts. Chapter 9. Kill debt like your future depends on it. Debt is one of the most accepted forms of suffering in modern life. People talk about it casually, almost like it is normal weather. Student loans, credit cards, car payments, personal loans, it is everywhere. It is so common that many people stop seeing it as danger. They see it as adulthood. But debt is not adulthood. Debt is captivity. Debt is not just money you owe. Debt is your future being spent before it arrives. It is your future paycheck already promised. It is your future freedom already sold. And if you want to escape the middle-class trap, you must treat debt like an enemy, not like a companion. Because debt does not just take money from you, it takes options, it takes peace, it takes confidence, it takes sleep. It keeps you trapped in a job you hate because you cannot afford to leave. It keeps you trapped in stress because you cannot afford to slow down. It keeps you trapped in survival mode, where every month is a race against bills. Debt is the middle-class chain, and chains do not disappear by hope. They disappear by action. The most dangerous debt is consumer debt. Credit cards are especially deadly because they feel harmless at first. You swipe, you buy, you move on. The pain is delayed, and when pain is delayed, discipline becomes weak. A person buys a $1,200 phone on a credit card, then they buy furniture, then they buy a vacation, then they buy clothes. Each purchase seems manageable, but the balance grows quietly, and soon the monthly payment becomes a permanent bill. That is how the trap works. Debt is rarely created by one big mistake. Debt is created by 100 small justifications. The credit card is not evil by itself. The danger is the habit behind it. The habit of spending money you have not earned yet. The habit of borrowing from tomorrow to feel good today. And every time you do that, you push freedom further away. Interest is the part most people underestimate. They think debt is just the amount they borrowed, but interest is the silent predator that makes the debt grow. A credit card with 20% interest is not a simple loan. It is a financial drain that never stops. It turns small purchases into long-term burdens. It punishes you for being impatient. It punishes you for being emotional. It punishes you for wanting comfort without preparation. And the minimum payment is the biggest trick of all. The minimum payment is designed to keep you trapped. It is designed to keep you paying interest for years. It is designed to make the bank rich while you stay stressed. A person might owe $10,000 and pay $250 a month. They think they are making progress. But most of that money goes to interest. The balance barely moves. Months turn into years, years turn into decades, and the person wonders why they cannot get ahead. They cannot get ahead because debt is stealing their momentum. Debt is like carrying a heavy backpack while trying to run. You can run, but you will tire faster. You can move forward, but it will feel harder than it should. And if the backpack keeps getting heavier, eventually you collapse. Many middle-class people also carry car debt. They finance vehicles far beyond what they should, not because they need it, but because they want to look successful. A car becomes a status symbol instead of a tool, and that decision can destroy financial progress for years. A $700 car payment does not just cost $700, it costs insurance, it costs maintenance, it costs fuel, it costs repairs, and it costs opportunity. That same $700, if invested monthly, could grow into tens of thousands of dollars over time. But the middle-class trap encourages people to choose the immediate pleasure of driving something impressive instead of the long-term reward of owning their future. Debt is often fueled by ego, and ego is expensive. Now there are different kinds of debt. Some debt can be useful, such as certain real estate loans that build assets. But most middle-class debt is not productive. It does not create wealth. It creates stress. If your debt is not making you money, it is making you weaker. And the reason debt is so dangerous is because it locks you into your current life. It forces you to keep earning at the same level or higher. It forces you to stay in the same job. It forces you to keep the same pace. It limits your ability to take risks, start a business, invest more, or even take a break. Debt turns your life into a monthly obligation. That is why you must kill it. Not slowly, not casually, not someday. You must attack it with intensity. The best way to eliminate debt is to choose a strategy and commit. Some people use the debt snowball method. That means you pay off the smallest debt first, then move to the next. This builds motivation because you see quick wins. Others use the debt avalanche method. That means you pay off the highest interest debt first, which saves more money in the long run. Both methods work. The best method is the one you will stick with. But no method will work if you keep creating new debt. That is the first rule. Stop the bleeding. Stop adding to the problem. You cannot dig yourself out of a hole while you are still digging. Debt freedom requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to comfort for a season. But that season of sacrifice buys you years of peace. And the moment your debt begins shrinking, your confidence begins growing. You feel lighter. You feel stronger. You feel hopeful because you are no longer running in place. Your action step: list all your debts on one page. Write the balance, the interest rate, and the minimum payment. Then choose one debt to attack first. Today, commit to paying an extra amount this month, even if it is only $50. Do not wait for motivation. Action creates motivation. Progress creates belief. Because once you start winning against debt, you stop feeling like a victim. You start feeling like a builder. Chapter 10. Build extra income without losing your soul. The middle-class trap becomes deadly when you depend on one paycheck. One income stream feels stable when everything is going well. But stability is often an illusion. Companies change, markets shift, managers replace people, industries evolve, health problems appear, and suddenly, what once felt permanent becomes fragile. If your entire life is supported by one paycheck, you are not secure, you are exposed. This is why building extra income is not just a financial strategy, it is a survival strategy. It is a freedom strategy. It is a confidence strategy. Because when you have more than one way to earn, you stop living in fear. You stop feeling like your job owns you. You stop panicking at every rumor of layoffs or every unexpected expense. Extra income gives you options, and options are the beginning of power. Many middle-class earners believe wealth is only possible through a higher salary, so they chase promotions and raises. That can help, but it is often slow, it is often limited, and it comes with a hidden cost: more stress, more responsibility, and less time. A raise can increase your income, but a second income stream can change your entire future. One of the biggest lies people believe is that building extra income requires talent, luck, or a huge business idea. That is not true. Most extra income starts small. It starts with a simple skill, a simple service, or a simple problem you can solve for someone else. The truth is, you already have value. You already have knowledge. You already have skills that people would pay for. The only difference between you and someone earning extra income is that they decided to use their skills differently. Some people are good at organizing. Some are good at writing. Some are good at teaching. Some are good at fixing things. Some are good at designing. Some are good at marketing. Some are good at building relationships. Some are good at explaining complicated topics in simple language. Every skill is a tool, and every tool can become income. The middle class often wastes its skills by using them only for an employer. The wealthy think differently. They ask, how can I use my skill outside my job? They ask, how can I get paid more than once for the same ability? They ask, how can I turn what I know into an asset? That is how extra income begins. You do not need to start with a big goal. In fact, big goals often scare people into doing nothing. Start with a small goal that feels realistic. A powerful first target is $500 a month. $500 a month may not sound life-changing, but it is. That is $6,000 a year. That can cover debt payments. That can build your emergency fund. That can start your investment account. That can create breathing room. And more importantly, it proves something to you. It proves that you are not trapped. It proves that you can create income beyond your paycheck. It proves that your job is not your only lifeline. That proof changes your mindset. Once you earn money outside your salary, you begin to think like a builder, not just a worker. There are two major types of extra income. The first is active income. This is income you earn by trading time for money. Freelancing, tutoring, consulting, driving, delivering, doing weekend work. Active income is useful because it can start quickly. It can generate cash flow fast. It can help you eliminate debt and build savings. The second type is scalable income. This is income that grows beyond your time. This includes businesses, digital products, content creation, real estate, and investments. Scalable income takes longer to build, but it creates long-term freedom. Most people should start with active income, then slowly build scalable income. The mistake people make is trying to jump straight into passive income without foundation. They want money while they sleep, but they have not yet learned how to earn money while they are awake. They want freedom, but they have not yet developed the skills and discipline that freedom requires. The right path is simple. Start where you are. Use what you have. Build step by step. One of the greatest advantages of extra income is that it can be temporary. You do not need to hustle forever. You only need to hustle for a season. A focused season of extra effort can eliminate years of financial stress. Imagine working evenings or weekends for 1 year and earning an extra $800 a month. That is $9,600 in 1 year. That could wipe out credit card debt. That could build an emergency fund. That could become the foundation of investing. A year of disciplined effort can change the next decade of your life. But you must be careful. Extra income should not destroy your health, your relationships, or your peace. The goal is not to become a machine. The goal is to become free. That is why the best extra income is skill-based, not exhaustion-based. If you can build extra income using your mind, not just your body, you can earn more without burning out. A person who learns marketing can sell services. A person who learns sales can increase revenue. A person who learns communication can become valuable in any industry. A person who learns technology can create opportunities everywhere. Skills are portable wealth. They follow you anywhere. Your action step: write down one skill you already have and one problem you can solve for someone. Then ask yourself, who would pay for this solution? It could be a small business, a busy professional, a student, or a local community. Choose one simple way to offer your skill this month. Do not overthink it. Start small. Start imperfect. Start now. Because the moment you earn your first dollar outside your paycheck, something changes inside you. You stop feeling like life is happening to you. You start feeling like you are creating your life. Chapter 11. Let index funds do the heavy lifting. Most people believe investing is complicated. They imagine stock traders staring at screens, making fast decisions, predicting the market, and taking huge risks. They believe investing is something only experts can do, and because of that belief, they stay out of the game. They keep their money sitting in a bank account, slowly losing value to inflation, while they tell themselves they will invest someday, but someday becomes never. The truth is, investing is not reserved for geniuses. It is reserved for people who are consistent, and one of the simplest, most reliable wealth-building tools ever created is something almost boring: the index fund. Index funds are not flashy. They do not create excitement. They do not make you feel like a financial wizard. But they have helped millions of ordinary people build extraordinary wealth over time. And that is what you need. Not excitement, not gambling, not quick wins. You need a system that works even when you are busy living your life. Investing is not gambling. Gambling is based on guessing. Gambling is based on emotion. Gambling is based on chasing a big win. Investing, when done correctly, is based on ownership. When you invest, you are buying pieces of real businesses. You are buying a share of companies that produce products, provide services, and generate profit year after year. The stock market rises over time because businesses grow over time. The world expands, technology improves, populations grow, industries evolve. Even with crashes and recessions, history shows a clear pattern. Over long periods, the market rewards patience. The problem is not the market. The problem is the investor's emotions. Most people buy when they feel confident and sell when they feel afraid. They chase trends. They panic during downturns. They want certainty in a world that always moves. And because of that, they lose money, not because investing is dangerous, but because their mindset is unstable. That is why you need a strategy that removes emotion. And that is exactly what index funds do. An index fund is a collection of many stocks bundled together. Instead of trying to pick one winning company, you buy a small piece of hundreds or even thousands of companies at once. This reduces risk, it creates stability, and it allows you to grow with the overall market instead of gambling on individual winners. Think of it like this: buying one stock is like betting on one horse. Buying an index fund is like owning the whole racetrack. You are no longer trying to predict which company will be the next superstar. You are simply investing in the long-term growth of the economy. This is why index funds are so powerful for the middle class. They are simple, they are low cost, they are proven, and they work best when you do the one thing most people refuse to do: stay consistent. Now here is the part that changes everything. The real power of investing is not the amount you invest, it is the time you give it. Compound growth is the greatest wealth-building force most people never truly understand. Compounding means your money earns returns, and then those returns earn returns, and then those returns earn returns again. It is growth on top of growth, and over time, it becomes unstoppable. A person who invests $300 a month might not feel like they are doing much. In the first year, the account looks small. In the second year, it still looks modest. But after 10 years, the growth becomes noticeable. After 20 years, it becomes impressive. After 30 years, it becomes life-changing. That is the secret. Compounding starts slow, then it accelerates. It is like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first it looks harmless, but the longer it rolls, the larger it becomes. Most people quit too early. They invest for a year or two and see little change, so they stop. They do not realize that wealth is built in the later years, not the early ones. The early years are planting, the later years are harvesting. And if you want to escape the middle-class trap, you must become a long-term thinker. Many people try to time the market. They wait for the perfect moment. They want to invest when prices are low and sell when prices are high. That sounds logical, but it rarely works for ordinary people. The perfect moment is only obvious in hindsight. Instead of timing the market, wealthy builders use a better strategy. They invest consistently no matter what. This is called dollar cost averaging. It means you invest the same amount regularly, whether the market is up or down. When prices are high, your money buys fewer shares. When prices are low, your money buys more shares. Over time, you average out the ups and downs. And because you stay in the game, you benefit from long-term growth. Consistency beats intelligence in investing. The person who invests steadily will often outperform the person who tries to outsmart the market. Because investing is not about being clever, it is about being disciplined. One of the greatest mistakes middle-class earners make is waiting until they feel ready. They want to eliminate all debt first. They want to earn more first. They want to save more first. They want everything to be perfect before they begin. But investing rewards early action. Even small investments matter, because time matters. The earlier you start, the more compounding works in your favor. A person who starts investing at 25 has an enormous advantage over someone who starts at 35, even if the second person invests more. 10 years of compounding is not a small difference. It is a massive difference. Time is the true multiplier. Your action step: open an investment account this week, not next month, not next year, this week. Then choose one simple index fund option and set up an automatic monthly investment, even if it is only $50 or $100. The amount is less important than the habit. You are building the identity of an investor, because once you invest consistently, you stop living paycheck to paycheck emotionally. You stop seeing money as something that disappears. You start seeing money as something that grows. Chapter 12. Spend like a free person, not like a trapped one. Spending is not the enemy. The real enemy is unconscious spending. The kind of spending that happens automatically, emotionally, and without thought. The kind of spending that feels small in the moment, but becomes enormous over the years. The middle class does not lose wealth only through major mistakes. It loses wealth through 1,000 quiet leaks, and those leaks can destroy a future. Most people do not spend because they truly need something. They spend because they are tired. They spend because they are stressed. They spend because they are bored. They spend because they want to feel successful. They spend because everyone around them is spending. And they spend because money feels like something that must be used, not something that must be protected. But if you want to escape paycheck to paycheck living, you must stop treating spending like entertainment. You must treat spending like strategy. Because every dollar you spend is a vote. It is a vote for your present comfort or your future freedom. Many people think budgeting is the answer, but most budgets fail. They fail because they feel like punishment. They feel like restriction. They feel like deprivation. People create strict rules, follow them for a few weeks, then break them the moment life becomes stressful. That is why the middle class stays stuck. They try willpower, and willpower eventually collapses. The solution is not restrictive budgeting. The solution is conscious spending. Conscious spending means you decide where your money goes before it disappears. It means you spend on purpose. It means you choose what matters and cut what does not. It means you stop spending to impress, stop spending to cope, and stop spending because you never learned how to say no. A free person does not spend like a trapped person. A trapped person spends to escape stress. A free person spends to build power. Look closely at the modern middle-class lifestyle. It is full of invisible expenses. Subscriptions for streaming, music, fitness apps, premium memberships, cloud storage, delivery services, and online tools. Many people have subscriptions they forgot they even had. They are paying monthly for things they barely use. Then there is convenience spending, food delivery, coffee runs, ride sharing, online shopping, small purchases that feel harmless. $10 here, $20 there, $50 on a weekend. These expenses do not feel dangerous because they are not dramatic. But over time they become a financial storm. A person spending $12 a day on small convenience habits is spending over $4,000 a year. That is not a small leak. That is a hole in the boat. And the middle class is full of boats with holes. Lifestyle inflation is another silent killer. It happens when your income rises and your lifestyle rises with it. You get a raise and suddenly you feel permission to spend more. You upgrade your car. You upgrade your home. You upgrade your clothes. You upgrade your vacations. You upgrade your habits. And the raise disappears. This is why so many people earn more but never feel wealthier. Their lifestyle expands to match their income, so they remain trapped at the same level of stress. They are like a person filling a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, the bucket never fills. The middle-class trap thrives on lifestyle inflation because it keeps you dependent. It keeps you needing the next paycheck. It keeps you needing the next promotion. It keeps you working harder just to maintain the life you already built. That is not progress. That is pressure. A wealthy person does not allow lifestyle to rise faster than net worth. They do not use raises to upgrade their spending first. They use raises to upgrade their future first. They increase savings before they increase lifestyle. That is how freedom is built. One of the simplest systems for conscious spending is to divide your money into 3 categories: survival, growth, and enjoyment. Survival is your basic needs: rent, food, utilities, transportation, insurance. Growth is what builds your future: savings, investing, debt payoff, skill development. Enjoyment is the part that makes life meaningful: entertainment, hobbies, vacations, dining out. This is not about removing enjoyment. A life with no enjoyment becomes miserable, and miserable people sabotage themselves. But enjoyment must have limits. Enjoyment must be controlled, not uncontrolled. Enjoyment must serve your life, not consume it. The trapped person spends first and hopes something is left. The free person saves and invests first, then enjoys what remains. That is the difference. This principle is often called paying yourself first. It means your savings and investments are treated like a bill, not optional, not negotiable. A bill. When you pay yourself first, you build wealth automatically. You do not rely on discipline every day. You build a system that forces progress. This is where the middle class usually struggles. They believe saving is what you do if you have extra money. But extra money rarely appears. If you wait until the end of the month to save, the end of the month will always be empty. The wealthy do it differently. They save at the beginning. They invest at the beginning. They treat growth as priority. And because of that, their lifestyle becomes stable even when life becomes uncertain. System beats willpower. A major part of conscious spending is understanding the true cost of purchases. Not the price tag, but the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost means what you lose by choosing one thing over another. If you spend $500 a month on dining out, that might feel normal. But that $500 could also be invested. Over 10 years with consistent investing, that could grow into a life-changing amount. It could become tens of thousands of dollars. It could become a down payment on property. It could become retirement security. The middle class often spends money without realizing what that money could have become. The wealthy always ask, what is this money worth in the future? When you begin thinking this way, you stop seeing spending as harmless. You begin seeing it as a trade between the present and the future. And when the future becomes real in your mind, you start spending differently. Conscious spending also requires courage, because sometimes you must disappoint people. Sometimes you must say no to invitations. Sometimes you must stop joining every social plan. Sometimes you must admit that you are building something bigger than weekend entertainment. This is where many people fail. They are afraid of looking cheap. They are afraid of missing out. They are afraid of being judged. But freedom requires a season of being misunderstood. You cannot build a new future while still living like everyone else. You cannot escape the trap while still following the crowd. The crowd is trapped, and if you follow the trapped, you will become trapped. Your spending must reflect your vision, not your social pressure. Your action step: choose one category of spending that has become automatic. It could be food delivery, subscriptions, coffee runs, online shopping, or weekend entertainment. Track it for the next 7 days without judgment. Just observe. Then make one change. Cancel one subscription, reduce one habit, or replace one expense with a cheaper alternative. Redirect that saved money immediately into your emergency fund or investment account. Do not wait until the month ends. Move it the same day. That is how you train your brain to build wealth. Because every time you redirect money from comfort to freedom, you are breaking the middle-class trap.
Chapter 13. Buy assets that pay you back. Most middle-class people spend their lives buying things that take money from them. Bigger homes with bigger bills. New cars with endless payments. Gadgets that lose value the moment they are opened. Furniture, clothing, upgrades, and lifestyle improvements that feel good today but disappear tomorrow. And after years of working hard, they look back and realize something painful. They earned a lot, but they built very little. The wealthy live by a different rule. They do not ask, "What can I buy?" They ask, "What can I own that will pay me back?" That question is the foundation of real wealth. Because freedom is not built by spending. Freedom is built by ownership. The middle-class trap is not only about how much you earn, it is about what you do with what you earn. If your money only buys things that drain you, your future will always feel heavy. But if your money buys assets, your future becomes lighter every year. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. That simple definition can change your entire life, because once you understand it, you stop making decisions based on emotion and start making decisions based on impact. Real estate is one of the most powerful asset-building tools in the world, not because it is magical, but because it works with time. Real estate can grow in value. Real estate can generate income. Real estate can protect against inflation. And real estate can be leveraged, meaning you can use borrowed money to build an asset that grows for decades. This is why so many wealthy families build their foundation through property. Not always through mansions, but through rentals, small duplexes, apartments, and simple homes that produce cash flow. But here is the first truth you must understand. Not every home is an asset. A home you live in can be a blessing, but financially, it is often a liability. It requires taxes, maintenance, repairs, insurance, and constant spending. It can increase in value, but it does not automatically produce income. It can still be a good decision,
but it is not always wealth building. The middle class often makes the mistake of believing home ownership automatically means financial success. So they buy the biggest house they can qualify for. They stretch their budget. They accept high mortgage payments. They accept years of stress. They become house rich and cash poor. And that is how the trap deepens. Because now they have a home, but no breathing room. Real estate only becomes a true wealth tool when it produces income or creates long-term leverage without destroying your cash flow. Rental property is where the wealth-building power becomes clear. A rental property is a real asset because someone else helps pay the mortgage. Someone else helps build your equity. Someone else contributes to your long-term growth. At first, you may only earn a small profit each month, but over time, the asset grows stronger. Rent increases with inflation. Mortgage balances shrink. Property value rises. And eventually, what started as a small investment becomes a major income-producing machine. This is why real estate is often called a wealth escalator. It moves slowly at first, but if you stay on it long enough, it carries you upward. A simple example makes this clear. Imagine you buy a small rental property. The mortgage is $1,200 a month. The tenant pays $1,600. After insurance, taxes and repairs, you might keep $250 a month. That may not sound like much, but that is $3,000 a year in cash flow. And at the same time, the tenant is paying down your mortgage. That could be another $4,000 or $5,000 a year in equity growth. Then, if the property increases in value by even 3% per year, you are building wealth in 3 directions at once: cash flow, equity, appreciation. That is what the middle class rarely understands. Real estate can pay you in multiple ways at the same time. Another reason real estate is powerful is because it forces discipline. When you own property, you cannot easily waste money. You become more strategic. You begin thinking in terms of long-term planning. You begin understanding how systems work. You begin seeing money as a tool instead of a toy. But real estate is not a shortcut. It is not a fantasy. It requires patience, learning, and responsibility. A careless person can destroy themselves with real estate. A disciplined person can build freedom with it. The middle class often fails in real estate because they treat it emotionally. They buy too much house because they want to feel proud. They buy in the wrong location because they want a dream home. They stretch their budget because they want approval. They forget that the goal is not to impress people. The goal is to build stability. A wealthy person buys property like an investor, not like a performer. They look at numbers. They look at cash flow. They look at long-term value. They look at sustainability. They ask, can this asset survive hard times? They ask, will this property still work if life becomes difficult? They build with caution, not ego. That is the difference between building wealth and building stress. You do not need to become a real estate expert overnight. You do not need to own 10 properties. You do not need to flip houses. You do not need to gamble. The goal is not speed. The goal is stability. For some people, the first step is simply buying a modest home that does not consume their entire income. A home that leaves room for savings and investing. A home that gives stability without stealing freedom. For others, the first step may be learning about rental property, studying neighborhoods, understanding rental demand, and building a plan for the future. The point is not to rush. The point is to start thinking like an owner. The middle class thinks in terms of payments. The wealthy think in terms of assets. The middle class asks, can I afford the monthly cost? The wealthy ask, will this grow my net worth? That shift in thinking is the beginning of escape. Your action step: choose one area near where you live and research property values and rental prices. Look at what a modest property costs and what it could rent for. You are not committing to buying today. You are training your mind to think like an investor. Write down the numbers. Let reality teach you. The wealthy do not guess, they study. When you begin studying assets, you stop being intimidated by wealth. You begin realizing that wealth is not mysterious. It is built through ownership and patience. Chapter 14. Build your financial independence blueprint. Freedom is not a dream. Freedom is a design. It is built, not wished for. It is engineered, not hoped for. And the reason most middle-class people never escape paycheck to paycheck living is not because they are incapable. It is because they never create a blueprint. They never define the target. They never build a clear plan. They simply work, spend, repeat, and wonder why the years keep slipping away. If you want financial independence, you must stop drifting. You must stop living month to month. You must stop letting life decide your future. You must choose your destination, then build the road to reach it. Financial independence means one thing: your assets produce enough income to cover your living expenses. That is it. It means your life is no longer dependent on your job. It means your survival is not tied to your boss. It means you can work if you want, but you do not have to. And once you reach that point, you are no longer trapped. You are free. But freedom begins with a number. Most people never calculate what freedom actually costs. They say they want to retire early. They say they want to quit their job. They say they want to be financially free. But they do not know what they are aiming for. They are like a person trying to travel across the ocean without a map. Your first step is to calculate your freedom number. Your freedom number is the amount of money you need in assets so that your investments can support your lifestyle. There are different ways to calculate it, but the simplest method is this. Take your yearly expenses and multiply by 25. If you spend $50,000 a year to live, your freedom number is about $1,250,000. That may sound large, but you must understand what it represents. It represents your entire life being paid for without needing a paycheck. It represents decades of freedom. If you spend $36,000 a year, your freedom number is about $900,000. If you spend $70,000 a year, your freedom number is about $1,750,000. The number is not meant to scare you. The number is meant to guide you. Because when you know the target, you stop guessing. You stop drifting. You stop wasting years. The middle class lives without targets. The wealthy live with numbers. Once you know your freedom number, the next step is to understand something even more important. Your expenses are not fixed forever. Many people think freedom is impossible because they calculate it using their current lifestyle. But your lifestyle can be redesigned. Your spending can be reduced. Your priorities can be reshaped. The fastest way to lower your freedom number is not by earning more. It is by reducing unnecessary expenses. This is where financial independence becomes real. A person spending $80,000 a year may need millions to retire, but a person spending $40,000 a year needs far less. The person who learns to live with intention does not just save money, they reduce the cost of freedom. This is why conscious spending is so powerful. It does not just help you survive, it speeds up your escape. Every payment you remove brings freedom closer. Every lifestyle leak you plug shortens the timeline. Every unnecessary upgrade you resist adds years of independence. When you lower your expenses, you are not limiting your life. You are expanding your future. Now, after you know the target, you must build the machine that gets you there. Financial independence is not achieved through motivation. Motivation fades. It is achieved through systems. A system is what works even when you are tired, even when life is busy, even when you do not feel inspired. A system is what keeps progress moving forward without constant effort. The middle class relies on willpower. The wealthy rely on systems. A financial independence system has a few key parts. First, you build your emergency fund that protects you from setbacks. Second, you eliminate high-interest debt that removes the chains. Third, you invest consistently that builds your future. Fourth, you increase income that accelerates growth. Fifth, you control lifestyle inflation that protects your momentum. When these parts work together, wealth becomes inevitable. This is what most people do not understand. Wealth is not a single event. Wealth is a process that becomes unstoppable once it is automated. If you save only when you feel like it, you will fail. If you invest only when you feel confident, you will fail. If you cut spending only when you feel stressed, you will fail. But if you automate your progress, you will win. Automation turns good intentions into permanent habits. You must also think of your financial life like an engine. Income is fuel. Savings is the storage. Investing is the growth. Side income is the booster. Assets are the machine that produces future income. When you build this engine, your money stops being something you chase. Your money becomes something you build. This is the difference between a worker and a wealth builder. A worker trades time for money. A wealth builder trades money for assets. Assets then buy time. That is the entire blueprint in one sentence. And once you understand this blueprint, you stop obsessing over short-term results. You stop panicking about slow progress. You realize that wealth is a long game, and the person who plays long enough always wins. One of the most powerful moments in your journey will be the moment you realize you do not need to become a millionaire to feel free. You simply need to become independent. Independence begins with small victories. 1 month of savings, then 2, then 6. 1 credit card paid off, then another. 1 investment contribution, then another. 1 side income stream, then growth. Each step builds confidence. Each step builds identity. And eventually, you reach a point where you no longer feel trapped. You feel in control. Control is freedom in its early form. Your action step: calculate your freedom number today. Write down your monthly expenses, multiply by 12, then multiply by 25. That is your target. Then write down your current net worth from chapter 4. Subtract your net worth from your freedom number. That is the gap you must close. Do not fear the number. Respect it, because now you are no longer guessing. You are building with clarity. Then write down 1 sentence. My job is my current income, not my identity. Say it again. Your job is not your destiny. It is your current tool. Because the moment you see your life as a blueprint, you stop feeling stuck. You start feeling powerful. Chapter 15. Become the wealth builder your family never had. Financial freedom is powerful, but financial legacy is even more powerful. Freedom changes your life. Legacy changes generations. And if you truly understand the middle-class trap, you realize it is not just a personal problem. It is a family cycle. It is a pattern passed down quietly through habits, beliefs, and unspoken rules. Many families do not pass down wealth. They pass down struggle. They pass down stress. They pass down paycheck to paycheck thinking. They pass down fear of money, shame around money, and confusion about money. Children grow up watching adults worry, argue, and panic, and without realizing it, they absorb the same mindset. Then they grow older, get jobs, earn income, and repeat the same cycle. This is how the trap survives. Not because people are weak, but because nobody breaks the pattern. The good news is this: one person can break it. One person can change the direction of an entire family line. One person can become the first wealth builder. That person can be you. Generational wealth is not just about leaving money behind. Money is important, but it is only one part. True generational wealth includes knowledge. It includes discipline. It includes values. It includes a mindset that teaches the next generation how to build, protect, and grow what they have. A person can inherit $1 million and still lose it if they do not have the mindset to handle it. And a person can inherit nothing and still become wealthy if they inherit the right principles. This is why the greatest gift you can give your family is not a large bank account. It is a new financial identity. An identity built on discipline, long-term thinking, and ownership. Because once your family learns the rules of wealth, the cycle of struggle ends. The middle class often lives with a survival mindset. They focus on paying bills. They focus on making it through the month. They focus on short-term needs. And when people are in survival mode, they rarely think about the future. They do not invest. They do not plan. They do not teach their children. They simply try to stay afloat. But wealth builders think differently. They think in decades, not weeks. They think in legacy, not just lifestyle. They think about what their children will inherit, not just what they will spend this weekend. This shift in mindset is one of the greatest turning points in your financial journey. Because when you begin thinking about legacy, you stop wasting money on meaningless things. You stop spending to impress strangers. You stop upgrading your lifestyle for approval. You start asking deeper questions. What kind of future am I building? What kind of habits am I modeling? What kind of life will my children learn to copy? These questions create discipline. One of the most important truths about legacy is this: your children will not learn wealth from your advice. They will learn wealth from your behavior. They will watch how you handle money. They will watch how you talk about money. They will watch whether you panic or stay calm. They will watch whether you spend impulsively or invest consistently. They will watch whether you chase comfort or build security. A parent can tell a child to save money, but if the child watches that parent overspend, the child will copy overspending. A parent can tell a child to avoid debt, but if the child sees debt as normal in the home, the child will accept it as normal too. Legacy is built through example. That is why your personal transformation matters so much. Even if you never speak about finances, your lifestyle teaches a lesson every day. And when you choose to build wealth, you are not just improving your own future. You are teaching the next generation a new standard. Wealth builders also understand the importance of ownership. The middle class is trained to consume. The wealthy are trained to own. They own businesses. They own investments. They own property. They own assets that produce income. When you teach your family the value of ownership, you change everything. You teach them that the goal is not just to work for money. The goal is to make money work for you. This is why investing is so powerful. It is not only a financial tool, it is a mindset tool. It trains you to think long-term. It trains you to delay gratification. It trains you to focus on growth. And when your family adopts that mindset, your children will grow up seeing wealth as something normal. They will see saving as normal, investing as normal, planning as normal. They will not fear money. They will respect it. That respect becomes their advantage in life. Another key part of generational wealth is protection. Wealth builders do not only focus on earning, they focus on protecting what they build. They avoid reckless spending. They avoid unnecessary debt. They avoid risky decisions that could destroy years of progress. They also build insurance, emergency funds, and stable investments. They understand that life can be unpredictable. They understand that storms will come. So they build a foundation that can survive storms. This is what the middle class often misses. They build a lifestyle that looks good in good times, but collapses in bad times. Wealth builders build a system that survives both, and that is what creates legacy. Stability over decades. To build generational wealth, you must also develop the courage to be different, because your friends may not understand. Your family may not understand. Some people will say you are too serious about money. Some people will say you are cheap. Some people will mock you for investing instead of spending. But you must remember something. People who live trapped often criticize people who live disciplined. Not because discipline is wrong, but because discipline exposes their own habits. Freedom requires a season of being misunderstood. If you are building a legacy, you cannot live like everyone else. You must live like the person you are becoming. You are not here to fit in. You are here to break the cycle. Your action step: write a simple family wealth rulebook. 1 page, 3 rules only. Rules like: we save before we spend. We avoid consumer debt. We invest every month no matter what. Then commit to living those rules for the next 90 days. You do not need to preach them. You only need to model them, because your consistency will teach louder than your words. The middle-class trap survives through repetition, but so does wealth. And once you start repeating the right habits, you become the person your family never had. The first builder, the first investor, the first disciplined mind. And that is where the true victory begins. Conclusion. You have now seen the truth that most people avoid for their entire lives. The middle-class trap is not just about money, it is about dependency. It is about living in a system where your lifestyle grows faster than your security, where your income looks strong but your foundation remains weak, and where your future is quietly sacrificed for comfort in the present. But you have also seen something even more important. The trap is not permanent. Escaping paycheck to paycheck living does not require luck. It does not require a perfect background. It does not require a sudden miracle. It requires awareness, discipline, and a system. And once that system is built, wealth becomes less of a dream and more of a direction. You learned that income is not wealth. Net worth is. You learned that looking rich often keeps you poor. You learned that time is the true currency of life. You learned that debt is not a tool when it steals your future. You learned that savings is stored peace. You learned that investing is not gambling when done with patience. And you learned that legacy is built through habits repeated, not words spoken. Now comes the part that separates readers from builders: action. Because this audiobook was never meant to inspire you for one day, it was meant to reshape you for the next decade. Here is your simple 90-day roadmap, not complicated, not overwhelming, just clear. In week 1, calculate your net worth and your survival number. Face the truth without fear. Truth is not your enemy. It is your starting line. In week 2, cancel at least one unnecessary expense and redirect that money into a separate savings account. Build the habit of paying yourself first. In week 3, begin your emergency fund. Your first target is 1 month of expenses. You are not chasing perfection. You are building protection. In week 4, stop new debt completely. No more financing. No more swiping to feel better. You are cutting off the poison at the source. In weeks 5 and 6, choose your debt strategy and attack one debt aggressively. Pay more than the minimum. Build momentum. Small wins create belief. In weeks 7 and 8, begin building extra income. Your first goal is not thousands. Your first goal is proof. Even $200 a month changes your mindset. In weeks 9 and 10, open an investment account and start with index funds. Automate it. Keep it simple. Let time and consistency do what stress and guessing never could. In weeks 11 and 12, refine your spending habits. Not by restriction, but by intention. Plug the leaks. Control lifestyle inflation. Protect your progress. By day 90, you will not be financially independent, but you will be something far more important. Financially awake, and a person who is awake cannot return to sleep. Ordinary people create extraordinary results when they stop living unconsciously, when they stop spending for approval, when they stop buying their own prison, when they stop believing the paycheck is security, when they stop treating wealth like a mystery. Your future is not decided by your salary. Your future is decided by your habits. And if you commit to these principles, month after month, year after year, the middle-class trap will not hold you. It will break beneath you. This is your moment. You do not need more motivation. You need commitment. The escape begins now, not someday. Go build the life your paycheck could never give you.